On today's show, I'm thrilled to welcome beloved actress Cathy Podewell, best known for her role as Callie Harper Ewing on the iconic series Dallas. Cathy starred alongside the legendary Larry Hagman for 3 seasons, bringing heart to one of the show's most memorable storylines as J.R. Ewing's wife. Joining Cathy today is her dear friend and biggest fan, Alan Kattan. Alan manages Cathy's social media presence and frequently accompanies her to fan events, helping her stay connected with the loyal audience that continues to celebrate her work decades later. Together, they share a special friendship, and today, we're excited to hear their stories, memories, and the bond that keeps Dallas' legacy alive. Hi, Cathy and Alan. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello, Christy. Nice to see you finally.
Yeah, finally.
Finally.
I've been looking
long time
in the making.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this for months. I think Alan set this up months ago, way back, maybe like right after the season started.
I think.
Yeah. So it just seemed like it took forever to get here, but it's here. We're here together, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, I thank you for having us.
So, Cathy, I'm going to start with you, and we're going to talk about a little bit about you, and then Alan, we're going to jump over to you after that. So, but if you want to chime in with anything, just feel free to chime in. So, Cathy, let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about when they see you, the role that made you a household name. You played J.R. Ewing's much younger wife, Callie Harper Ewing, on Dallas. Yeah, everybody, like, that is the role. Like, I remember you on the show, when I was younger. I remember I was like, wow, this is Callie. So how did you get that dream role?
So my agent sent me out for an audition, like I'd been doing for a couple of years prior to my Dallas audition. And it was just a audition with the casting director. And she called me back. And the next day I went in and I read for the casting director and Leonard Katzman, who was the executive producer of Dallas. So then a short time later read they brought Larry in. And so reading with Larry sealed the deal. I think I was a huge I Dream of Jeannie fan. And the fact that I was sitting this close to Major Nelson, not J.R. Ewing, but Major Nelson, was like, I got super red. I just was flushed the whole time because we read this seduction scene between Callie and JR. So it worked. Let me just say, obviously it worked. Mm-hmm. And Larry was like, she's the one, basically.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it worked out great. And I got the news. I was going to visit my then boyfriend, and we weren't quite married yet, and his family in Ohio. And in the airport, I got a page. My agent paged me in the middle of the airport to come to a payphone, and she told me.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And it was only supposed to be, the best part was that it was supposed to be for like 6 or 7 episodes, which I was thrilled as an actress. I thought it was a one episode part. So I was, oh my gosh, 6 or 7 episodes, woo, and then it turned into 3 seasons.
Yeah. So that's amazing. Like, I mean, that's just amazing. Yeah. Going to back up to like, who didn't love Major Nelson? And whenever I would watch I Dream of Jeannie and Dallas, to me it was like 2 different humans, because they were 2 completely different characters. That showed the range of like his acting. That showed his acting skills.
Yeah, he was 100%.
Yeah, we loved Major Nelson. We hated JR. So
exactly.
But so how did it feel? Like you said, you were red and stuff. How did it feel to work every day with somebody that you respected so much? Because I know what it feels like when I meet people who I have so much respect for. I met Donna Mills, in August last year at the South Fork Experience, and I was just like, wow. I mean, just even meeting her. So how did it feel to actually work with somebody like that?
Oh, it was the best. I knew it was going to be the time of my life. Like I have such a vivid memory of sitting in the makeup chair downstairs at the hotel on my very first day, getting my makeup on. And Charlene came, because Charlene walked in for her makeup. So I got to meet Charlene, which was huge because, like, she was the closest to my age, and
and they gave one another stories to write.
Yes, true. Our characters definitely fed off each other, so that turned out to be a great arc. But I just remember sitting in that makeup chair saying, okay, pinch yourself, enjoy every minute, because this is going to be a fantastic journey. And it was. And honestly, working with Larry was the best. I just love him to pieces. There's a part of my heart that he holds, and I was super blessed to get to work with him.
I've read that he was really funny behind the scenes. Is that true?
So funny. So he and Patrick Duffy, first of all, they were like brothers, but they were the biggest goofballs. So practical jokes. I mean, there's everybody has so many stories of, like,
Yeah, where only Barbara cannot tolerate.
Yeah, no, exactly. Barbara Bel Geddes had, she what's the story, Michael?
The story was like whenever they were in the breakfast it's times, they were throwing food at one another, having food fights.
Yeah.
And then Barbara started to actually blow her top.
She's like, boys, behave. Stop it. And she told the director, make them. So she took the director aside and she said, I have a big scene tomorrow at the table, a lot of dialogue. Please control the boys. She called Patrick and Larry.
But what if it was an episode that each one of them was either one of them was directing?
I don't know. But I know she told Michael, the director, please make sure that they don't. And the first take, I think they started throwing food at her, so they were not controllable. That's for sure.
Well, as Patrick always said, he said, why you've seen us mostly eating breakfast, because that's the least costliest thing. And when we are off screen, the food gets thrown out.
Yeah.
So now I hear darn right it used to get thrown out.
So they really were like, you guys really were like a family. I mean,
yeah.
Wow,
very much.
That's awesome.
I mean, I felt included right away. We filmed my first couple of, mostly for the first 10 years, I should say, of the series, they filmed the first few months in Dallas. So my first season was the last year that they did that. So I got to experience filming in Dallas, and right away they, Patrick and Larry included me. I had a lot of, obviously mostly the scenes with them, but they included me to have lunch with them. Just made me feel like they've been together for 10 years at that point. So they made me feel like a part of the family from minute one. And then later getting back to the set here on the Laura Mar lot, I felt very much taken with Barbara Bel Geddes and Howard Keel and their character and my character, but also their people and me, like Howard, especially Howard Keel and his wife, super, super sweet, and included us in like dinners and birthdays. And so it really was, I felt very meshed right away, which is rare. I think when, a series has been on for 10 years, they're a family. Right. And then the new players come and they go, but to be included was such a gift.
Yeah, that is, it reminds me, like, I started going to this new church, and I had been watching this church online for 2.5 years before. Listen, I'm a person, it takes me a long time to commit. And so I'd been watching it for 2.5 years online, and I was like, I'm going to go. And I went. And so I feel like I know all them because I've been watching them, like, play their piano and sing the hymns and stuff, and the preacher, but they don't know me. And so I'm like, I want to fit in, but I'm like, okay, chill out, Christy, because like they're a family. They don't know you yet, but I'm hoping that I can fit in. I'm sure I can. They're really nice.
Yeah.
But I know how that feels, to come into something.
To a new space where they're all together and to be the outside.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad.
You'll fit in. You're so warm and bubbly. You're going to fit in.
I hope so. I mean, listen.
Her character was the most special character that Dallas ever had.
That's sweet.
He's not biased or anything, is he?
No.
Yeah, he's your biggest fan.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you examples. this is Keith, this is the only, she was the only character that ever featured JR ever having done something good to.
Wow.
The end part, you see the especially the end part, where she was, where you see that Callie's real husband Steve was playing her new love interest, where she was carrying a baby that was JR's son.
Yeah.
Now you think JR would ever let a son of his get away? And JR actually decided to just he was going to do like the scene we were expecting, like when they snatched Lucy away from Valine to send men, and he was about to do the exact same thing, and he knew that we fans were recalling that moment, expecting this to happen that moment.
Right.
But then when he said, you know what, I'm gonna just let her go, I see she's happy, and I said, wow, finally JR did something nice.
Yeah. One thing.
Callie was the first recipient of JR being.
And also, if you saw in the Conundrum, the final episode, that was featuring like roles like what would happen to each character had JR never existed.
Wow.
Now you could see that everybody was better off.
Yeah.
Besides the parents, everybody was much better off.
If JR had not been born.
But only Callie was the only one who was lucky to have had JR in her life.
Yeah. Wow.
Otherwise she would have been beaten up and in prison for life just for self-defense. She's sentenced in jail to life.
Right. It was sort of that end episode was it was a take on It's a Wonderful Life. So the angels played by Joel Grey, who was actually Larry Hagman's dear friend. So he took him around and showed
he worked
JR.
with Mary Martin, because he worked with Mary Martin on Broadway a lot.
Right, that's right. Yeah. So that's true. I guess
Yeah. I love that you know so much about the show. Like Alan, we have so many conversations like late into the other night I was like, Alan, it's like 12:14 a.m. here. My eyes are going together. Got to go to bed. And then we stayed on Messenger for like until almost 1 a.m. here. And I was like, okay, I really do got to go to bed. But he knows every character. Like he knows it so well.
Oh yeah.
That's how I am with Knots Landing.
I filmed and acted in scenes that I don't even recall. He's like, the scene where you did that? I go, no, I don't remember that. And he's like, yeah. And then he'll explain the whole thing.
Yeah.
He has such an amazing memory. Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second, because so I find myself when I listen to the We're Not Done Yet podcast, the ladies have that podcast on the Knots Landing ladies. And of course, and when I told my son, I'm like, oh my God, they don't remember. He goes, Mom, it was like 50 years ago. Of course, I'm going to remember. Yeah. And I have to remind myself that I watch this show every day still yet. Like I put it on the background while I'm doing my other stuff and I listen to it. And I've watched this show since I was like 10 years old, since I was a kid. And I know I'm like Alan. I know everything about Knots Landing. I know phone numbers and addresses. Like,
well, you and I
know. How this is that.
So we lived in the same eras all the time. You and I are the same age.
Yeah, I know. So yeah.
So we were in the same era.
Yeah, and you were one show, I was the other. But but then I have to tell myself, like, of course they don't, and it's like with my books, somebody was asking me about characters in a book that I written in 2015, and I was like, I don't remember that part. And they're like, but you wrote it. And I'm like, and so I try to remember. It's just something that you do, yeah. So I'm like, oh. So.
Right. I always say to my girls, they're like, I told you that. I'm like, I don't have enough brain space to remember the daily minutia of myself, let alone, my kids and my husband. Like, wait, where are you going?
Yeah.
It's like there's only so much storage.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Listen, I'm about tapped out on my storage.
Right. Exactly.
But the Kelly character, I'll tell you, that's really how we really supplemented and it prolonged Sue Ellen's character, and it proved the importance of Sue Ellen. You see, a lot of times we were wondering in JR's infidelities, we were seeing that how come he's cheating on Sue Ellen so much? Is she growing older? Is she losing her youth? This and that. They've done so many things to prove that this is not the case.
Yeah.
One is you see Chris Atkins when he came on the show, a young college student, 21, with all the young college girls after him. But he only wants Sue Ellen. He only had the obsession for Sue Ellen only. Yeah. And then same thing with Jack Scalia. he was a younger guy who was her later love interest.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could see everywhere he's going, he's a stud at the airport. You see that women are grabbing him, this and that. The minute he saw Sue Ellen, he wanted to settle down. And he for first person he ever fell in love that wanted to settle down on somebody for good.
Yeah.
And then we were asking ourselves, okay, now they wanted to prove that even if JR married a spring chicken, he will have the same infidelities. Now you ask yourself, how in the hell they're going to get a girl in her early 20s to fall in love and marry JR, not for his money, because of all that age difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the writers found a very genius way, by putting him in an uncivilized place where nobody has heard about him, where her Callie character was growing up in a place where she saw all men being so cruel that when JR walked in, she fell in love with him instantly, because that's the first time she ever saw a man with a gentlemanly manner.
Oh, wow.
And then she fell in love with him and married him when she had no idea how he lives, that she had no idea if he was rich, and she had no idea what rich was.
Yeah.
She was charmed. Let's just say she was charmed.
She was charmed.
Yeah, definitely.
Listen, honey, we've all been
how
there.
the writers found a way to do that.
I think at some point we've all been there. I know I have. That love bomb, you know,
exactly.
like you think one thing and then you order one thing and they deliver another. So
exactly.
But
exactly.
So Cathy, you were born into a family of actors. I read that your grandfather was Lester Podewell. Tell us what he did.
Okay, so my paternal grandparents, Lester and Beverly Podewell, my grandmother's stage name was Beverly Younger, were veteran theater actors in Chicago. So they met in a production of, I can't remember what, but no, I don't think that's on my. But anyway, they met in the theater, and they continued to do theater. But my grandmother's most known for one of the very first television shows.
I think it's The Straw.
The Straw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Straw.
Thank you. But my grandmother did a show called
It's the Eugene O'Neill play.
Right. That's what they met on. Right. Correct. See, Alan knows. I see. I'll just defer to Alan. Anyway, Alan, why was the year? So anyway, was always very proud of them. My grandmother was on a show that was taped live in Chicago. It was called Stud's Place. It was one of the very first television shows. Actually, the writers of I Love Lucy, so the story goes, were very influenced by Stud's Place. And it was written sort of, there was an outline and then it was improv. And it was a live half-hour comedy show. And she did that. And then...
You did radio, I think.
And she did tons of radio. That was early television. She also did radio. My grandfather did radio. And then my grandfather continued. My grandmother did a one-woman show, traveled all around the country. My grandfather did tons of film and television that came to Chicago. But he's most known for, if I say, he was in Groundhog Day, which was just yesterday.
Yeah.
He played the old homeless man whom Bill Murray tries to resuscitate at the end of them, who every day is begging for money. So on repeat, he got scene after scene after scene.
If it wasn't for you, he wouldn't have made that big comeback.
Why?
Because this was during the time.
No.
That was during the peak, the time.
No. I don't think it had anything to do with it. But yeah, so they, were working actors, and I just thought I could do that. I could carry on the Podewell name, and I was in theater in high school and then majored in theater in college. So I just super blessed that it worked out. So
yeah, I love that. I was going to ask you if that influenced your decision, which I'm sure it did. I'm always like, when I grew up like acting at home. Like, I wasn't never in drama at school or anything because I was extremely painfully shy, believe it or not.
Actually,
like, I
my
was
drama teacher
so
was
shy.
Played the pastor who married Callie and JR. He was my high school drama teacher.
Isn't that funny?
Wow, you're kidding.
John Ingle, that was John Ingle from he was in the General Hospital.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, and his students, he had actually Nicolas Cage. He had, as a student, he had also, what was her name? Jamie Lee Curtis he had.
Oh,
he had
wow.
even had Dreyfus and he had Rob Reiner. They were his students in high school.
Oh, that is so cool.
David Schwimmer. I saw David Schwimmer as one of his students when he was directing the musical, High School Musical.
Oh wow, that's so cool. That is good. So did you grow up in Los Angeles? And
Yeah, I was. Yes, I grew up in Los Angeles since I was 8 years old.
okay, how about you, Kathy?
No, I moved. I was born in Chicago, and then
Oh,
we moved when I was 2 to Northern. I grew up in Northern California.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay. So
East Bay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really cool. I love that. What I was going to say that, like, I always wanted to do, I wanted to be in drama so bad, but I was so shy in school that I just I wouldn't be able to get up there. But sometimes I just go through the house and I just like act like I'm acting in something, and I'm just like, I think I was telling Cherie or I was telling somebody that I was like, well, I pretend, or maybe Amy Stotch. I was like, well, I pretend to act here at home, like I can do a thing, but I always wonder, like, would I be good at it? But now I'm at the point where I couldn't remember the lines. I've had too much chemo.
That's
So,
yeah. That's the quandary. Like, oof.
Well, I do have actually for you. Actually, I do have something in mind.
Yes, you do.
Apart. You see, thanks to your encouragement, after you read my Dallas synopsis
oh,
that we'll get into, you were encouraging me that I should be going to screenwriting.
absolutely.
And thanks to your
Absolutely.
encouragement, I'm working on developing a TV film based on Kathy's triumph. And
Yeah.
Kathy, you're with me on this.
Yeah.
I, I
I
am.
love it. I
He's,
love it.
he's great. I
I
know.
told him he's
Such
so
good ideas. I know
he,
you encouraged him, which
yeah,
is
and,
he's
and I
very
have a part for
talented.
you.
You're very talented. You have it. You can do it. Like, I have no doubts about it that you can get this done, Alan. You can do this because you are so talented. And I'm like, just go for it. Like, go for it. Like, I always feel like I wonder sometimes, how many people who have so much to give to the world, especially in like books or art or whatever, who maybe die with that gift and it dies with them because they're too not shy, but like too scared to move forward.
scared. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, how
Or they
many?
get into a mind like, they talk themselves out of it, and they
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I can't do that. I can't. How can? Who's going to believe? Who's going to read that? I'm not going to bet
Yeah.
that."
Yeah.
But
So, Alan, you have to do this. Like, you
I think
absolutely have to.
Alan also has had encouragement because all of this, my connection to Alan came about really because he had the gumption, so to speak, to send his ideas to Michael Priest, our director
Yes,
friend.
because when I heard that there was a TNT Dallas coming, and I still haven't gotten over how Dallas ended. And it was still I was still traumatized. First my two favorite inspirations who brought me self-esteem, like April and Callie, Cherie and Kathy, how they ended their characters. First they kill April off,
Yeah.
and second of all, with Callie, they destroy her They destroy her sweet innocent Callie's integrity.
Mhm.
Yeah, Alan has a lot to say about that last year, about how they could have ended. And a lot of people, actually, you're not the only one. But because he had these ideas, he had the wherewithal to go, I'm just going to go for it. And he sent
Michael Priest. I sent Michael Priest. I was looking him up on IMDb. I saw his age. So I sent him actually my script. It was before the TNT was out. The version was written differently. That time I had April coming out of the shower, where you see Cherie, she turns, Bobby hears the music that April and Bobby were hearing all the time, the saxophone music. Bobby gets up, he walks to the shower. I know, you wonder, doesn't he look older now? Look, he just woke up in the morning, and this will wig him for that moment when we go back in time. And Cherie's hair is wet, and she still has her beautiful young face. She still looks young and beautiful as much as she did before. And then you see when she turns around, she points her index finger like this, and she tells him, like in a Mae West type voice, to come in, baby. And then Bobby goes, and he faints. And then Bobby faints, and then the scene is frozen, and then April shouts, screams. And then that's what caught their attention. And then Cherie, he told me Cherie loved it and read it and all that.
And so because of that, reaching out, Michael, the director, called Alan and said, hey.
Yeah, I got a phone call. He says, hi, Alan. This is Michael Priest here. While I was driving, and I was like,
oh my gosh.
And I said, now will my future dream come true to be friends with the Dallas girls?
Well, that's the crazy thing. That's what I'm trying to say is that, you have an idea, and what you're talking about, somebody who doesn't make any attempts to just see where they could go with it. You got to just try.
Mhm.
Just, you never know. And so because of that, he and Michael started having lunches together.
Yeah, we were great together.
Then he introduced Cherie. Michael introduced Cherie to
Yeah,
Alan.
yeah, it's actually, yes, because Cherie was still in town, but I didn't want to, I never asked him, bring Cherie, but I just was like, look, I don't want to use anybody for anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I became so close friends with Crystal's Facebook administrator. Crystal, that's Cherie's Facebook administrator. We became so close. She saw that I had so much knowledge about Cherie in Dallas. I was giving her so much information, all that. But I never asked Crystal, please connect me with Cherie. So what happened was, when I heard Cherie was having a fundraiser in Dallas, that's where I went to, and then Cherie was like waiting for me all the time. She was making she was like telling me she knew everything, and she says, I would like to join you all the time with you and Michael, and you could call me anytime you want.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then he reached out to me, and then we all started.
And then I was like wondering and I was like thinking that where is Cathy all that time, and now how did they reacquaint each other? Is when lucky that Cherie and Cathy ran into each other at a charitable function, and they reconnected. And then right after, a week after it happened, I asked Cherie, whatever happened to Cathy Podewell?
And she said, I just saw her.
She said, last week I just was at a charity event.
Yeah.
And then I saw they connected on Facebook. So I immediately connected with Cathy on Facebook, but I said to myself, now how am I going to ever connect personally with Cathy and become friends with her?
Easy.
Well, listen, Alan, I just want to say, and I say this all the time, but I want to say it publicly, you are the kindest, I'm going to cry, but you are the kindest man ever. You have the best heart, Alan. You're just kind, and you just do for other people, and I told Alan in the beginning, I said, I will, he started setting all this stuff up, and I told him, I said, I will never ask you to help me meet anybody. I will never use you like that. And I won't, I don't do that to people with
I don't do that to
Crow,
people.
I became friends.
I did tell you that people did do that to me to get to them.
Yeah.
People did. Even one time, there was times when people in events were reaching out to me, and then they took them and they threw me under the bus.
Yeah. I would never do that. That's awful. I became friends with Jamie Crow, Tanya's sister, on Facebook last year, and I never, not one time, asked about Tanya, because I don't do that. I had Dolly Parton's niece on my show. It was a two-part episode, and not one time did I say, hey, let's get Dolly on the show, because I just don't believe in doing that. I just would never want anybody to feel like, oh, well, she got me to get somebody else. But, Alan, but you're just so kind, Alan, and you've set all these interviews up for me, and I just thank God that he crossed our paths, I really do. So
really, if I didn't feel the same about you, I wouldn't have done this for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's so amazing. That's what I mean. Again, going back to put yourself out. Mm-hmm. Hey, anybody listening, you've got an idea, or you don't tell yourself it can't happen.
Right.
You never know. So, that one connection, look, you guys have this amazing relationship, and you're supporting her, and you're supporting us or him, the fan page, supporting me via the fan page through Alan. Yeah. So it's all just really, it's beautiful.
Listen, when that Sunday that y'all called, okay, first of all, I was listening, okay, I might have my hair fixed right now, but most days, I can go 2 or 3 days without even combing my hair, because my hair is thick and curly, so it's just a pain to comb. So I usually have it in a bun, no makeup. I had pajamas on, and I was sitting on the bed, and I think I was eating popcorn, that skinny popcorn, and the phone rings, and it's Alan. I'm like, hey, Alan, and then I heard Cathy say hello, and I was like, oh my God. And so I was like, oh my God. And I was so nervous. I didn't even know what to say. And I was like, I don't know. And then
I got nervous with me.
I was a nervous wreck. And then when Lee called me a couple Sundays ago, I was like, oh my God, Lee. So, because, it's not every day you're sitting around in Tennessee with, your hair in a mess and a celebrity calls. Yeah. So
thank you for calling me a celebrity. That's
wow, you are I want to jump over.
I always see that the whole world is coming after her.
Yeah, I know. I don't. That's you and Amy Stotch, especially you and Amy. I don't think you guys realize how loved you are. And like I was going to ask you about your first role. Your first role in Night of the Demons, that's a cult classic. Like people loved it, and it has a huge following. And I don't think and like Amy was Missy on Bill.
That wasn't the first role was with Danny Aiello. And
Oh,
Johnny Depp with Johnny Depp and Danny
oh
Aiello.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was a very small part, and Johnny Depp killed me in this TV show, and that's how I got my SAG card. Yes.
Oh, okay.
But then then Night of the Demons was my first big role, lead role. Yeah.
So so you have a huge following from that. So I think that you just don't really realize that people do. And like, look, I'm 57 years old, and back a long time ago, I was watching you on Dallas. So like, you've been around for a long time, and you do have a huge following. I just don't think that you realize it.
Well, it's a weird thing because. Not that I don't think, I get it. Like Dallas is iconic and Night of the Demons is absolutely a cult classic. But it's just because it was so long ago and I haven't kept up with the acting. I took time out to be a mom. And so somehow for 35 years, I was in that mom bubble. And, it's so far removed from the days of acting. So all of this, as of the last few years with the horror convention appearances or the Dallas convention or Alan starting a fan page, which I said to him when he approached me, I was like, God bless you, Alan. That is the sweetest thing anybody has ever offered me. But truth be told, I mean, you can do it, but if you get a few hundred people, look, I'll be thrilled. I'll be thrilled. I'll be thrilled. That's what I said to him. I'll be thrilled. And now we're at, what are we at, Alan?
We're
28,000.
5K.
Yeah, I was gonna say 28,000.
And only a little over 5 years.
I know. That's crazy.
It's crazy. So
you're the only person to whom we can't keep up with.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I've lost about 200 followers. And we won't get into it, but I've lost a couple hundred followers because when I give my opinion on things, here's how I am. Like, I have my opinion. Okay, first of all, and I posted, I don't know if you saw it, like last week, I posted that picture of Richard Pryor, and it said, before you comment on my page, remember, did I ask you to follow me? Like, I don't ask anybody to follow me. So if you don't like what I'm saying, like, the door's over there, go out. Yeah. But you lose some people, but that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah. Who cares? You have to be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna change.
We lose so many. For each 2 we lose, we gain 3.
Yeah, I know. I love it. So, but you guys are right on my heels. Like I'm at a little over 32,000, but you'll be there. I say 32,000. I'm gonna say by the end of this year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If Alan has anything to say about that, people are like, "Oh, you do such." I go, "I do nothing for the fan page. I hardly. I am so bad with social media that I forget to even check what he's doing, or and he's so good about like updating me and I posted this, just in case you didn't see it, which I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So he's amazing.
Well, I had a post on mine and he liked it, and the Cathy Podewell fan club liked it, and I messaged him. I said, "Is that you or is that Cathy?" He said, "No, that's me." I was like, "That's what I thought."
You're like,
but anyway,
who is this Cathy Podewell fan page?
But you mentioned going to the like the tarot cons, the autograph signing. How does it feel to stand there and see these people come up, like from 40 years ago, and say, like, "I loved you in Night of the Demons"? How does that feel? Like,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying when I was saying the whole world is good, because this is where it makes me feel like the whole world is coming after her.
Yeah.
I mean, at a convention, it's a treat. It's humbling. It's beautiful because you'll hear stories. With Night of the Demons, it's surely like, oh my gosh, my mom, showed me Night of the Demons when I was, and then they'll say when I was like 8. I'm like, you watched Night of the Demons when you were 8? Like, my kids are in their 20s and 30s and haven't seen
Well,
it yet.
Kathy, I haven't told you what happened while you were being busy signing an autograph.
Yeah.
You know, that fan, Night of the Demons fan of yours, that very young man in his 20s, while he saw you busy, he was taking advantage and he was coming around to me and he goes, "Excuse me, but could you please give me Kathy's phone number or Kathy's? I would like to connect."
The married woman, you know.
But not maybe like because as to be a friend or this and that. So I was prepared for this to happen. I was really prepared for a thing like this to happen.
Yeah.
So I was right away telling him that you have to go over to her yourself and talk to.
Yeah.
Don't put me in the middle. If you want to.
I don't know what he wanted my phone number for, but it's a beautiful thing, and
But I told him if you want to go ahead, but you have to talk to her about this. And he said, I said I can't. He said I can't. I'm afraid. I told him, don't be afraid. She won't bite you. You go. I told him you go, but I'm not gonna be the middleman in between.
Right. Yeah. And I don't blame you. I don't blame you for.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was really well prepared for this to happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's going to happen like with anybody. That's why I don't listen. I don't think I'm anything, but I mean, nobody knows me, but I don't show the outside of my house on social media. I don't put my address. I don't even use my legal name. My name is Christy Adams on social media, and that was my name before I got married a few years ago. I don't use my legal name. You guys see it in the email. And it will be on the cover of my new book. It's Hatfield is my legal name, but still, especially when I was doing all that after Charlie Kirk got killed and I was doing all the political posts and stuff. I had to turn 2 people into the FBI because they threatened to come kill me. Oh yeah, it was really bad. And my friend, I told all my friends, I said, untag yourself in all your posts. Don't post on my page because you don't know about these people who follow you. So some people are scary.
Every time I see a person commenting something rude or something really perverted or all that, I always block that person out of the page.
Yeah.
Or if I see them even in another page with abrupt behavior, I block them in case I block them even though they haven't discovered our fan page.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good idea because you don't want people to bring negativity. Now, I left it on my page because that's how I make money. I make really good money each month from Facebook, and so I'm like, honey, I had people calling me like a hillbilly twat, and I'm like, and so I just left it, and I would just say, thank you for your comment. You're helping me make money because it was you make money on Facebook, but I didn't care. And 2, you have to have a thick skin if you're going to be on social media and stuff like that. A person close to me can hurt me, but a stranger on the internet, no, girl, I'm just making bank off your comment.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've appeared on a wide range of shows like Beverly Hills 90210, Murder, She Wrote, and then you went on Walker, Texas Ranger with your friend Sheree J. Wilson, which we love. So do you have, Sheree, we all love Sheree.
Bless Sheree.
Yeah, she is so sweet. Let me tell you, everybody, y'all are so sweet. When I was at South Fork, last year at the South Fork Experience.
Yeah, that's where we met.
Yeah, it is. And I come up to her table because Adam was like, go talk to Sheree. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know these people. Because I was starstruck. I ain't going to lie. It was like a hotel lobby full of stars that I grew up watching. Like with you and Larry Hagman, I Dream of Jeannie. It's just like, you're like, oh my gosh. And so, and I went up to her. I was like, oh my God, this is Alex from Walker, Texas Ranger. But she is just so sweet, so kind. And you are too. And just everybody that was there, I didn't have not one bad experience with anybody. Everybody was so kind.
Yeah.
But, so do you have a favorite experience when you co-starred on other shows? Do you have a favorite experience or like a memorable moment from any of those sets?
Well, my memorable moment is, you see, I'll tell you about when she was on Growing Pains. That's where I first.
Oh yeah.
That's where I really first discovered Cathy. Mm-hmm. And you see, I was 19 at that time, and I fell in love with her teenage character she was playing. In fact, she was my teenage role model. She was my teenage role model for a girl I would love to date.
I remember that.
Like, it was your ideal.
Yes, my ideal. when I love that character so much.
Mhm.
And then that later that year when she was on Dallas, after 1 year when I was watching her as Callie, when this episode came into syndication, when I was watching it, I was thinking, Lydia is Callie? Oh my God.
Now on Growing Pains, didn't that
Yeah.
character
And
like have a
now I
little
know
odd
this is
voice
not
or
a real
something?
accent.
Yeah.
And now I know this wasn't a real Southern accent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a funny voice on Growing Pains.
Yeah. So do you have like a favorite
Story from one of those? Well, obviously Walker Texas Ranger. I had 2 kids by then, and I wasn't working. But Leonard Katzman was producing. The same Dallas producer was casting. So I mean, was producing Walker Texas
And
Ranger.
Michael directed, and Howard Keel. That was Howard Keel's last screen role.
So Howard Keel was in it, and Michael directed. So it was like a Dallas reunion with Cherie, obviously, and it was like a Dallas reunion.
Actually, it was a Dallas tribute because that's the only Walker episode where they did mention on screen the TV show Dallas and the JR character.
Oh, wow.
Oh, they did in that episode?
And that episode at the end, maybe like after Howard was arrested, the time you were hugging Walker at the end, that sometime then somebody on the street was mentioning that.
Oh, wow. See, that's so cool. Like little Easter eggs like that in a show. That's just so cool, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. For like, somebody to pick up. But anyway, that was really fun because it had been a couple of years, and I didn't have a nanny or anything. So my in-laws met me in Dallas, and I brought my kids because my husband traveled all the time. So he brought my 2 little kids. I had a 3-month-old and a 1.5-year-old.
Wow.
And so my in-laws watched so I could film. And it just was great to see everybody again. So that was super special. Growing Pains was super, super fun for so many reasons. I actually have had a great time on everything I've ever worked on.
That's good.
I really, I got to play Jason Bateman's girlfriend in an episode. I got to be Martin Sheen's daughter in a movie.
Beverly Hills Brats.
And I got to work with I was a huge Laverne and Shirley fan, and I worked with Cindy Williams on a TV movie.
Yeah, that was the Earth Angel. And there you were with such prominent big guy. You were the main character on top of Roddy McDowell, Mark Hamill, Alan Young, and
Eric Estrada.
And
Cindy Williams. Yeah. So it was huge. It was my childhood. That's why, like, when you were freaking out about your childhood and all the stars that you watched, that's how I felt on that shoot. But I remember being very professional. Like I look back now and I freak out more now. I'm like, oh my God, I got to work with the greatest people. But at the time, I was very, I wasn't trying to be unprofessional and being like, oh my God, I watched you on Laverne and Shirley every week. So I loved working. I loved the.
Actually, it's honorable somebody gave her, because Penny never gave her a chance. And finally somebody who gave her a chance gave her chance with you.
Okay.
Oh, on Earth Angel.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a thrill. So yeah, I was really blessed. I mean, I think about how blessed I was, because for the 5 years that I auditioned, I worked, and that's something to be very grateful for. Not, there's such a small percentage of actors who can actually make a living, and I got to work and make a living. And then I decided, I got pregnant with my son 34 years ago. We have 30, almost 30. I mean, he's almost 34, just like your son. So, it was hard. Those few jobs I did do when my kids were little, it was just difficult to arrange help. And I don't know, I didn't want to be away from them. And I just decided I'll just be a mom. I get to have this time and this time only to be a mom of young kids. And then they grow up and I can go back to acting, and I can act till I'm 100 and whatever, God willing, I live to. So it was just a really, such a blessing that I got to work as much as I did.
Yeah. Another show that I absolutely love, hands down, one of my favorite shows and when I say I put it on the background, because usually all day long I'm busy doing stuff like with the other shows that I upload and this, writing my books. Like I just have this book coming out. I don't know if you saw, I have this book coming out about my weight loss journey. And so then yesterday I started on a new book that will be out at the end of May. It's about grief. And anyway, so, Yeah, so I'm always doing something, but it is a Murder She Wrote. I love that show, Murder She Wrote, and you were on an episode. And so imagine me just sitting listening, and I'm like, that voice, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's Kathy. So yeah.
So crazy that they still like my husband and I have a joke. If I see a Screen Actor Guild check, and we pretty much know it's a check, we do the whole like what was the Great Kreskin or whatever John Carson used to do about guessing. So we do that with like how much the residual is going to be. You know, it's like $4.13, and I'm like, no, it's going to be a big one. It's going to be $6.30. Because I get like little teeny residuals from Murder She Wrote or Walker, so it's really fun. I'll look on the TV, and if I see Walker, I'll go, oh, yay! You know?
I have a friend named Eric Lutz. I don't know if you know who he is. He played he was on Frasier. He played like the station manager Tom for a couple of seasons. He's been in a lot of stuff. And I was watching or letting Ally McBeal play in the background one day, and I was like, that sounds like Eric. And I looked and I messaged him. I was like, daggone it, you were on Ally McBeal too. And he goes, yeah. So it's just so cool to like just hear the voice and go like, hey, that's my friend. So yeah.
Well, that would happen to me. My grandfather wouldn't say, oh, I filmed this movie that came to Chicago, and then I'd be watching whatever Code of Silence. You know, it was a Chuck Norris, right? Yes. That was Chuck. And my grandfather was in it, and I'd be like, Mom, was on this movie. You know, he didn't even tell us. So
yeah,
very funny to like have a friend or a relative pop up that you didn't even know.
It's really cool. So in 2013, we were talking a minute ago about the Dallas revival. You reprised your role as Callie for JR's funeral episode. So what did it feel like to return to that role after all the years that had passed by? Because how many years had passed? It had been quite a few. What, like 8?
It was
22, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. So, I mean, I saw Larry 8 days before he passed away.
Yeah. Oh, did you really?
Yeah, that if you saw a picture posted that Cherie was doing a fundraiser in Texas where he was like the guest of honor, and I went there and I did see him there, and you know, and he did not look like his day was coming that soon whatsoever. He was functioning independently, eating, breathing independently, walking, mingling with everybody. I mean, though he was frail and though he was not expected to last too long, he didn't look like it was this close.
Yeah, like within a week. Yeah, that's sad. Listen, my husband, when the revival, well, I called it a reboot. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
I would say like no, they would call it sequel.
Okay.
No, because reboot means that you are creating whole new characters. You're starting all over again. It's not related.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A reboot means it's unrelated to the original. It's starting all over again.
Oh, I did not know that. But yeah, so my husband loved that show. Like, I didn't watch it. For some reason, I just didn't want to watch. I don't know. Not that I had anything against it, but he never missed an episode. And I could remember like walking through the bedroom to the bathroom, and if I made a sound, he was like, "Be quiet." You know, he never missed an episode. He loved that. And so, of course, when Larry Hagman died, we were just devastated. You know, so but he loved that show. He loved the original Dallas. And my husband was 15 years older than me, so he had. I didn't meet him until 2010, but he had like a whole family, like, you know, his first wife that died. And they used to watch the original Dallas, and every Friday night he would come home from work, and, you know, they would all sit down and watch as a family. And then, of course, I knew that. And so in 2022, we went to South Fork, the ranch, and we went on the tour, and he was sick then. He wasn't as bad as he got, you know, he passed away on June 1st of 24. But, yeah, and he loved it. And he said, "Can I wear my Stetson?" And I said, "Absolutely." And so he sat down under Sue Ellen's painting, and I took his picture. And when I went to the thing last year, I showed it to Linda Gray, and I said, "My husband loved you." I mean, he loved her. He loved that character. And yeah, she was so gracious about it, you know. And I said, "Look, you know, he just." Being at South Fork experience last year would have just made his whole entire life. I wish that he could have been there. But yeah, it's amazing what that show meant to people. Listen, I met people from Germany, from France, from Australia. You know how long of a plane ride that is? It's like 25
Actually, we have
hours.
returning fans who are from Germany and from Luxembourg and France, there who are loyal fans who are friends of ours. They return frequently every time to South Fork Experience.
Yeah.
And they
I mean,
contact us a lot.
That is the power of going into people's living rooms every week. You become a part of the family, and that's the vibe that the Dallas fans bring. Is you are part of my
But you
family.
see, it's hard to explain to them. It's hard to explain to them about how Cathy played Callie and used the Southern accent and all that. When everything there is voiceover, that they don't even they never even heard any of your voice.
Right.
They never.
That's true. Yeah, because they have to have it dubbed by like a German actress, or wow, that is really. I hadn't thought about that, Alan.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Well, usually they subtitle more in countries where people are really, where English is really the compulsory second language. They subtitle it, but in big countries where there's not a lot of English used, that's where they dub.
Yeah. Right.
So like last year at the South Fork Experience, how does it feel when people come up and they're like, I grew up watching you, or how does that, like, I can't imagine how that would feel. How does it feel knowing that your work, not just like as a human, but the work that you put out is so valued by viewers, 40 some years later, close to 50 years later. I mean, that has to be like just such a special feeling.
Oh, it's so touching. It's so amazing. And it just makes me feel, not that I don't feel blessed every day, because I do feel blessed every day in my personal life. It's just such a blessing. And I feel like out of all the shows, I got to be on the iconic Dallas. Yeah. And so, coming up on 50 years, it's insane how loyal the fans are and how amazing. And like you said, they're repeat customers. Like you would think, oh, it's a one-time thing, but we did it last year, and most of the same people came back to say hi to us again. It was, so it starts to feel like a little bit of my Dallas family. I know people by name, and
and many of them, they treat me like I'm one of them, like the way, because they see that I like in the page, the way they participate, I give them big parts and I show them their pictures and all that whenever they have. And
right. Yeah.
Well, the funny. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, yes, it's like it's woven. They're woven into our lives, into Alan's life, into the fan page, into, the South Fork Experience. It's like an amazing, beautiful thing. So yeah, super, super fun and blessed. It's such a blessing.
Last year when I met you, Alan, there at Cherie's table, I looked at him and I was like, what did he play in? What character was he? I was trying to place him. I was like, who was he? What was he? What was he in? What did he play? And I asked Adam, I was like, well, who did he play? And he goes, he wasn't on the show. And I was like, I thought he was, though, because he was right there, with her. And I thought, who was he? I couldn't think of who you were. But anyway, yeah, and I think that
I take that as a compliment.
Yes, he's so handsome. He could have been an actor.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you could have, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if that qualifies for acting.
I think it's just such a great thing that they do, because look, I mean, I don't know how long things like that have been going on, but when, like 20 years ago, I never would have thought that you could have gone and met people that you grew up watching. Like I don't think it was a thing like when I was growing up. Like I took my son with me last year, but like to just be able to go and gather as a fan with the people that you watch, that is just so precious, and to gather in the like at the ranch and have a cocktail hour and all that, which I didn't do that because, listen, I should have, because I spent more money doing everything separate than I did if I would have got the VIP ticket. Like I did. I ended up spending like $3,500 on pictures and stuff I blew $1,200 in one day on pictures.
Well, you see, being there, actually, sometimes, I'll tell you another thing. You see, sometimes when something becomes a TV classic, things come back.
Yeah.
But also the way that South Fork Experience is run. It's it's usually at a convention, you've got little pockets of reunions of shows, like, oh, it's Three's Company reunion, or it's the this movie reunion, and you get some actors, but it's across the board, different genres, different people. But that South Fork experience that you came to is so unique that it is, and it's so well run. I mean, I know you ended up spending a lot of money, but also like it was a unique experience, right?
Yeah. It was worth every penny.
Yeah.
It really was.
And you got to meet your Knots girls, yes?
Oh, listen, first, so the year before,
I should ask you, how was that?
Oh God. Okay. The year before, I think y'all had it
flew back home with me.
Oh yeah, that's
right. Donna flew back home with me.
Yeah,
oh my God. I would have just died. Okay. So the year before, I think it was seemed like it was in October or something, because Adam said, we had just wrapped taping a show. We were at the studio, and he goes, "Are you going to go?" And my husband had just died in June, and I said, "I don't think so, Adam." I said, "I just really," and I said, "But if you ever get the ladies from Knots Landing, I'll go." Well, last year, as soon as they booked them, he messaged me and he goes, "We got Donna, Joan, and Michelle," and I was like, "Honey, I'm there." So as soon as tickets went on sale, I got the tickets for me and my son. I got our flights. I got the hotel, and then it was like April last year, and I was like, 4 months is going to take forever to get here. And then before you know it, it was there, and it was over. But yeah, so like that was because I'm just as big a fan as Knots Landing as he is. And I actually wrote a treatment for Knots Landing, and I called it a reboot, but maybe a revival, because it had all the same characters. But I wrote, and it was huge, and I printed it out and I took it to each one of them. And so they, I took it and I told them, I said, "Look, I wrote a treatment for a Knots Landing reboot." And they were like, "Wow." And so Donna read hers, and she actually talked about it on the podcast. And I was like, "Oh my God." Listen, if I could ever be a part of that, I would work for like table scraps. I'd be like, "Just give me crumbs. I don't care. You don't even have to pay me. Just let me be a part of it," because that would be a dream come true. So when you wrote, you're writing your stuff, I'm like, I know how that feels, because I wrote a huge treatment. And Donna said on the podcast, she said, this woman, Christy Hatfield, she said she wrote a Bible, because it was so big. But I fleshed out all the characters. Like I had what they were doing for a living, where they were, working. Yeah. I mean, it was just, but that's my passion,
Because that's like, yeah, you guys are the equivalent of Knots and Dell. You're each other's like equivalent.
We're primetime soap opera soulmates.
Love it.
So, but yeah, so you mentioned that you had taken the break to do the mom stuff and be a wife, a stay-at-home mom. Listen, there's nothing more precious than getting to be a stay-at-home mom. When my son was little, I was a stay-at-home mom until he was almost 9. And then I was like, I'm going to go to work. And I worked, after that for forever. But those first years that you get to be home with them and you get to see everything and the first steps and the first words and all that, man, I wouldn't trade that for a job that paid me $10 million a day. It's just precious. But so what motivated you to step back into acting after your kids were grown?
Well, I mean, I kind of really haven't. I dabbled a little bit, like the JR return, after Larry passed and the reboot asked me to come back, to come on. That was such a treat. You had asked how that felt. That felt, it felt like not that much time had passed since we'd been together. It was it was 22 years, huh? So yeah, that it did not seem like it was 22 years. It felt very natural to be back in with them. And then, so I haven't really attempted to go back to work yet. I took care of my mom for 9 years. After my youngest graduated high school, I thought, I'll go back to work, but I was still taking care of my mom. And so she just passed in July. So now I potentially could go back to work. I'm trying to figure out what that's going to look like.
Rest in peace. I really miss your mom, and I really see her out here. I know. I see her everywhere.
Right,
I look here.
Right. I know. It's very weird, but I'm gonna get all emotional. So no, it's all good. It's all beautiful, and so yeah, I have I have to figure out what it's going to look like, but I could go back to work. I could put it out there, go back to work. Yeah.
Alan, get that screenplay done.
I know, right?
Yes, we got to get it. Yeah, right. and Kathy, we'd better write it real well.
I know.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm not a writer, Alan.
No, yeah, but you see, it's you know what it is. I mean, it's based on Kathy's trial.
Yeah, he's got the Dallas kind of
I got figure. And another thing is another thing that thanks to you, I finished up a script, a two-lady show script. Hopefully on the South Fork reunion they could get it in. It's called April and Callie.
Yeah, love that.
Where Cherie and Kathy get upstage and they recite. They do a two-lady show and they recite my Dallas synopsis miniseries.
Yeah, I love that.
Alan's got a lot of ideas, so
I know. And they are so good. And they're so good. I love that. I mean, what would you say to that, Kathy? Would you agree to that?
I would work. He's got an idea for like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, that's the one.
The one. Read that too?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. Because too. You see, thanks to Christy, I wouldn't have developed the Hallmark movie about Kathy, based on Kathy, not autobiography,
right?
As well as my two-lady show for the South Fork reunion.
Yeah.
Yes, Christy has read it. I always let Christy. Oh, yeah. I share Christy everything that of ours.
Yeah.
And my youngest is in art school. She wants to be an animator. So wow. She'll be home in a year and a half, and hopefully she'll create a show. And then I am like, I'll do all the voices. You could cast me. So, I'll look to friends and family to get me back to work. But,
yeah, you listen, if anybody can get you back out there, it's going to be Alan for sure.
He's my cheerleader.
So,
well, a cheerleader inspired by a cheerleader.
Yeah. Well, I told Alan the other night, I think, how did I put it? I said, I'm your biggest cheerleader, Alan, because listen, I was born an encourager. I always I'm like an encourager by nature. And I used to I used to be a therapist at a mental health facility. It was residential. So they would live there for like a month at least. And when they would first come in, they were all down on themselves so bad. They hated themselves. They hated who they were. They were dealing with some severe mental health issues. And I would say, look, before you leave, I'm going to have you believing that you can do anything. I will believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. And you don't know what that means to people who, especially people like that who didn't have anybody in their corner. Their parents had just were at their wits' end with them, and they just sent them somewhere. And so, I just was born to encourage people. I was just born to do it. And so, Alan,
definitely a gift.
Yeah, you really are a gift.
Yeah,
thank you.
It really is.
You're our gift.
Yeah, thank you. So,
Thank
Alan,
you so much for having us both. Yeah. It was really fun.
Yeah, it's been so fun. And listen, I'm coming out there to have dinner.
I know.
Yeah, wait to see you.
Yeah, I know I got to do it soon though. For some reasons I got to do it soon. So we got to so I'm going to try to get out there at the beginning of March. I'm going to try to get out there before the 9th. I think I said the 9th, right? Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you both. I just love you both. I just love you. You're the sweetest. I mean, you're the sweetest two people.
Thank you for having us, Christy.
I really appreciate it.
Okay, but we'll do it again soon.
Yeah,
and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll hopefully see you in March.
Yeah, we will. So, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. I know you have just loved this as much as I have. We're going to link all of Kathy's and Alan's stuff on the screen. I'll have my son to do it. He'll put all the links on there. You can follow both of them. Follow Alan and Kathy and her fan page. And join me again next week for another great guest. And remember that you can do all things through Christ.